And I had seen Shotzi one time for some chiropractic work, but I had talked to Lynn about the possibility of adding in the whole program. And really, more almost as a wellness type thing. I don't believe it was that Lynn was having, huge problems with Shotzi or anything.
No.
And this is one other point that I wanted to emphasize today, which is why I was really glad that Lynn could come, because doing this kind of technique is fantastic for wellness and preventive care. Again, getting out of that mindset in this country that would just sit around and wait for symptoms to happen and don't do anything about it in the meantime. This is the best proactive technique I've ever seen. Because you can find things that are flying under the radar and head them off at the pass and correct them before they ever become problematic. So I love, love, love nutrition response testing for wellness and preventive care. Because you can take an apparently wonderfully looking healthy dog and make them even better. So it'll be fun to see what Shotzi shows us, because you look at her, Lynn isn't having any problems, she isn't having any symptoms, Shotzi looks great, but I'll guarantee that we'll find something that we can take and make better.
My apologies, she hasn't had exercise today. She was at the groomers, then she had a bleeding dew claw, and then we threw her in the car to come here, so she's pretty ready to go.
Well, let's have you just face in like how Susan was doing for me before. If you can just scoot your chair in, scooch it all the way in, face me, get squared off to me. Come on in, we promise we won't bite. Perfect. Thank you. That's great. All right. Let me get my surrogate warmed up here. Just push up and resist. Push up and resist. Perfect. Hi, sweetie pea. Wait, how'd you get up here? I saw you in a different office before. I know, honey. How did I get up here? All right. So we're going to touch Shotzi and see if we can just touch her and see if my surrogate can hold a strong muscle. Very nice. See the difference now here, how firm that hold is compared to Mac, who was kind of bouncing a little bit. So we'll come in here and we'll check the regulation. And we'll check the regulation. It's kind of slow. See how she's kind of ratcheting down? It should be a huge drop. So it's kind of open. Let's check at the umbilicus. It's not really dropping the way that it should. Okay, so we have a somewhat blocked regulation here. So we'll kind of work off of that. Give me a good hard resistance. Give me a good hard resistance. Keep shoulder level. There you go. She's really fairly blocked. Okay, so let's play the why is that game. I see she's getting dairy. We've already talked about how it's not my favorite in dogs. So we'll see what that does. There you go.
Not a bad idea.
Okay, so we would take dairy out of the program.
Oh, that's, what is that?
Looks like,
a piece of
looks
yogurt.
like more yogurt or cheese, so we already know dairy is bad, so we won't bother with that. Just push up and resist. There you go. The egg looks okay. What are we doing for meat? What's this?
Those are Swedish meatballs, treats, and whatever they put in them.
It's probably the whatever they put in there. Not doing so well.
We're not doing too well. There should be a bone in there and a beef bone.
Great. That's very nice for recreational chewing. I do love the marrow bones for recreational chewing. This is great.
Who's in her? Can I leave her down?
Yep, you can.
Okay.
And that tests very well. Nice and strong. So that would be fine. And what other things do you do for food? Are you doing raw?
No, I'm not. I'm doing wellness, which should be in the other thing.
Okay.
Full of food and, vegetables that
Okay,
get,
so wellness is in
extra
here?
things.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Whoa, I'm gonna dump it all over the floor.
The substance being tested,
He's
are you
hungry.
holding it on a specific place on the body? or
No,
just on the-
nothing specific, just random.
Easy, easy.
Just
easy.
bringing it in and resonating it to the body.
Chicken, that's wellness chicken.
It's also got grains in it, don't forget too. So we can differentiate, we can differentiate.
Easy, easy.
Remember I had this food resonance test kit. So, okay, the wellness, my suspicion, of course, being the grain Nazi, is the grains. But perhaps she doesn't do well with chicken either, although she did just test okay with the eggs. So I'm kind of going, So chicken is one of the resonance testers in here. So we'll just take out chicken and just do that as a resonance tester and see what we get. And chicken looks fine. Okay? So to me, what's the problem with the wellness? Greens, I heard someone say. Thank you. Exactly. And this is what I consistently see in my practice. So even, a better quality wellness, and let's face it, that's not old Roy, the grains. They don't handle the grains. I see it day in and day out. The animals are telling me. I'm not making this up. I didn't turn out to be the grain Nazi because I just decided to become an old curmudgeon one day when I rolled out of bed. The animals are telling me this day in and day out. They don't handle the grains.
How does Innova do? Have you tested the Innova Evo at all?
I'm not impressed with the Evo. At first I was a little hopeful because of the premise that it was, grain-free and using potatoes instead. I have not been impressed with it. I get a few animals that test okay to it, but a few. They're in the minority.
On Prairie Raw Instinct,
I haven't used that one to test it with yet.
it's supposed to be grain-free.
Exactly. One that I've had a little bit better testing with is the Solid Gold Bark at the Moon. That's a grain-free one that they just came out with too. I get a little bit better testing to that than I do the Innova. But let's not forget, I am the kibble Nazi. Why? Because those are still processed lava rocks, So, if people wanted to insisted, there had to be some kibble in there. You might be able to try and find some kind of a grain-free one like that and feed them a little bit and then do lots of real food on top of it. I never am going to rely, even if we're doing the Solid Gold Bark at the Moon, on that exclusively. It's still expecting processed food to give total health, the total cereal thing again. So we've still got to get fresh food in there somehow. So, whether that's adding stuff out of the fridge or what have you, the fresh food's still got to get in there. I'm not going to rely on a bag to be my total source of nutrition. So we'll check some of her digestive points. And we'll check her hydrochloride point, crash. We'll check her gallbladder point, and we'll check her enzyme point. And we'll check the stomach. I almost get a little ratcheting on the stomach, the small intestine, and the large intestine, the head of the pancreas. So again, what I was saying about these being on these processed foods and how the body has to work overtime with the enzymes and how you get the inflammatory processes and the large molecules and blah, blah, blah. And it winds up, even in this dog who looks okay, her GI tract is raising its hand right now and going, I need some help. And if you don't help me now, someday you will know about it. Might not be next week, might not be next year. But someday, this will come up to bite you in the butt. So how great is this that we know this now, and we can be proactive. We can do something about it. So that's why I had to encourage Lynn, who came to me originally, was like, my dog's fine, and I just want diet chiropractic. I'm like, never switch. I know I can do something for her and help her to be healthier and live longer. We all want our dogs to live till they're 58 years old, don't we? So if there's something, or 158, even better. So if there's something we can be proactive about and take charge of healthcare, man, who wouldn't want to do that for their animals? And she's wagging her tail. I think she agrees with me. Hi, Sweetie Pete. I know, it is very exciting.
Where are you touching for the pancreas and the head of the pancreas?
Going over where it would be, trying to find that organ dermatome.
And intending it.
And intending it, that's right. And tail the pancreas, you know, it's the head of the pancreas, left side of the body just off midline, tail the pancreas a little more lateral to that. You can go on the toxin kit now and see how she's doing on the metals. You're waving a little bit. It's not a big crash, but we get a little waver there. And we can look at the solvent. There's our big crash, solvent and chemical side. So she's another one that hasn't escaped toxins. I mean, who does really, as we were saying. I know, it's very exciting. Do you want to see another test kit? This is the pathogen kit. Doesn't look too bad. Now, whether there's anything lurking under there once we clear out digestion and toxins, maybe, or maybe not. She might be fine on pathogens. So, okay, so we've got food, and we've got digestion, and we've got toxins. So we were saying that parotid and cholecol-2, or chelaco, some combination thereof, are some of the products that are used in the standard process line for the toxins. So we can go back to the worst side of the kit, which was the solvents and chemicals, and see the big crash. And what we can do is resonate the parotid PMG to her, and that resonates very strong. So first of all, I want to make sure that the product is okay with the animal, and it is. But then, is it at all going to negate my solvent? Is it going to help me at all? Yeah, it is. That's the solvent side. I'm going to take the parotid out, retest, crash, put the parotid back. So that's going to give us a nice start on some detox for her with the parotid.
Do you ever go for the specific solvent or toxin that's the problem to rule
Yes,
out
and
exposure?
sometimes I will pull out of this kit some of the specific vials, because it is helpful to know sometimes if it's anything at all that could be controlled in the
Yeah.
environment, or solvents or things like that. I mean, on the solvent and chemical side of the kit, we have such things as chlorine, food preservatives, heavy chemicals, hydrocarbons, medications. You know, so if it's anything that's easily controllable, it's nice to know about it, to be able to try and remove it if it can be at all, and to figure out, you know, any sourcing of it. So sometimes I will test with the, sometimes it's a factor of time. If I go, oh, I'm running short on time, okay, got solvents, need to do a detox, let's go. But sometimes both myself and the client would like to know exactly what that is for whatever reason. So we could also see if we needed any chelaco or cholecol-2 to go with that. So not the cholecol-2. And not the chelaco, really just the parotid, which tends to be more typical with the solvent and chemical side. The heavy metal side is really more when I tend to need the cholecol-2 and the chelaco, but the solvent and chemical side, a lot of times the parotid alone can handle that. So then foods for her, again, because this is what I brought for demo, we could try Cobra Cookout works for you too. That's nice. Yeah, that's pretty nice. The Thanksgiving Day dinner works. Now this looks like this is going to be one of those lucky dogs. This is one of the 25%ers that might be able to do a full rotation, because now we have a beef and a turkey. You're a lucky girl. You are. You are. Grammy's pot pie, which is chicken. Yeah, you're pretty lucky. lucky. You can have different flavors. For whatever reason, this one isn't working as well. That was the trout-based one. This one is Working Dog Stew. This is tripe. And I love tripe for digestive issues. Because I always say there's nothing like feeding intestine. It's got everything it needs. Talk about having everything it needs for healing. Feeding
Isn't that something
intestine.
that's bleached
intestine.
though all the time frequently?
I'm
Tripe?
sorry?
I don't know how they get the tripe, but isn't that something that's bleached frequently?
You can get it
Tripe.
You can, yeah, you can get it. You can get green tripe. It's.
You can.
Oh, yeah. It's really disgusting. There's somebody that knows what it's like.
I feed raw, so.
Yeah.
I feed raw for 20 years.
Yeah, so you
So
know
we do
about the
it
raw
with
tripe.
it's like,
Yeah,
and I love it.
they do. Most of them do. It's the humans that don't like the tripe. The dogs love it. And especially if I have GI tract problems, I'm almost kind of hoping they test to the tripe. And at least this, the Working Dog Stew, is a little less offensive than the raw tripe that she's talking about, but still does get some of the good stuff in there for the intestinal tract. So again, it looks like she could have a pretty nice rotation here. We've got something to start on the solvent and chemical detox. Hi, sweet pea. It is very exciting. And we're going to just look at the enzyme point again, still a little weak, and the small intestine. So we'll add something in for digestion. We could try canine enteric support. That could be a possibility. I know. We could try our friend Multizyme. That could be another possibility. Or we could try lactens. So you go, well, that's just great. The L3 tested pretty strong. Now what? Go back through them. The body will prioritize it for you. Watch this. This is cool. Multizyme looked good, right? Not anymore. Saw something better. Was it the canine enteric? I don't know. Let's find out. Nope. So that means, I'll bet you it was the lactans. Look at that.
So you're using your
Wow.
I'm just re-resonating to the body. You can do it in priority mode, but no, I'm just re-resonating. I just went back through the three. I'm like, well, that's just great. I'm stumped. They all tested
So
great.
you just repeated.
Yeah, I just went back through, and the body will automatically.
What was the name of the third one
But
again?
in fact, you
Lactens,
Lacten?
lactens, LACT-ENZ.
Thank you.
So now we can go back through and re-look at the small intestine. Test strong now, the large intestine test strong, and the enzyme point test strong. So now we want to know, remember how she had the block regulation? You know, we've changed the food and we've added this in. Have we done anything for the regulation yet? Maybe we have and maybe we haven't. Yes, we have. That's how regulation should be. Did you see how her arm looked like it just fell off? When regulation is wide, wide open, that's exactly what it should look like. That is exactly what it should look like. It should look like suddenly that person just turned to Jell-O. So
Now,
that,
you've got some things in your hand.
right, because without them, I would have the block regulation.
Okay.
You know, that's what she started out
Yep.
with. So I want to see if by adding these two supplements and then coming back in, did I change? Whoa, that's a face planter. That's what I call a face planter when I'm testing. My sword goes out from under me. I'm like, whoo! That's good in this case. In this case, you want that regulation to look like that. So this could be an easy start on her new program. Take a well dog and make them even more well. Let's go in and turn the dimmer switch up on this dog and make her life really great and make her live a lot longer for Lynn and a lot healthier long term. Thank you.
Kind of blows-
Cool, huh?
Very interesting. Very cool. Thank
So
you.
you would,
You're welcome, thank you.
you would put her
I
on,
am a PT pie.
question?
Yes?
You would put her on this protocol for how long? What, like a month?
Yeah, a month and check her
back.
back in a month, yep. And then look for the next layer of the onion. Remember, these are the screamers today. We don't know what's lurking underneath, so we just keep peeling back until we've kind of corrected everything that keeps showing.
And skip all that other stuff, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So again, we can go to the parotid 1 a day, 2 a day, dropping at 2. And we can go to the lat 10s, 1 a day, 2 a day, 3 a day, 4 a day. 2 parotid and 4 lat 10s.
So nice for the client to be able to see that it's directly from the dog.
Yes, it is.
It's
And
not
what's
the fact
even
you just say
more,
you need 2 a day, and she'll go home and say, I want to save money, I'll get 1 a day. You know what I mean?
the other thing that's even nicer is, you know, these are initial consults, but then once your clients are rolling back through and they kind of get the whole concept and they're not going like, who's this crackpot? It's really fun to use the clients as the surrogate because it gets them very involved. They can feel the differences now of when something is testing strong versus weak as the organs. It drives it home way more to feel it themselves than to even sit and watch me with somebody else. I mean, sure, they can see it. It's not that they're not paying attention, but man, when you feel it and it's your animal, wham, not much argument then. It's really cool to have the clients be able to do it too.
Okay, Kim.
And again, I would have Lynn go ahead and mix in, you know, like green leafy veggies, and I'm a big green leafy fan. Broccoli, these things I do like to do cooked and pureed. The green leafies with the oxalic acid, I like to have it negated by the cooking. And broccoli wouldn't have to be cooked because it doesn't have the oxalic acid content, but pureed for sure, or fine chopped. So she could add things like that. She could have a nice rotation on her meats because it looks like she kind of handles most protein sources pretty well, so she could additionally add in things like that. Yams, pumpkins, sweet potato, you know, things like that, additional to just the Merit canned foods.
How long will you cook for, like just blanch?
Yeah, exactly, just to blanch it out, just, you know, yeah, a minute or two.
Can you
That's-
steam, can you steam the
Steam
broccoli?
it, yep, can be steamed, yep, that's fine. And then that way, that's enough to negate, you know, the oxalic acids and things like that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chauncey. Thank you. Oh, she says, you're welcome.